Just a few days ago, I talked about all the PC handhelds and did an updated buyer's guide and whatnot for late 2025. And I mentioned in the video that we had pretty good leaks confirming roughly the price point of the Xbox Ally. And always, my impeccable timing strikes again. A few days after that, pre-orders went live, revealing the official price being about $100 to $200 more expensive than what the, at the time, present leaks were stating. And don't get me wrong, I don't think they're as egregious, but they are more expensive, and I gave Lenovo a ton of grief, ton of guff, a ton of crap about their pricing. And I think it's only fair I do the same exact thing with the Xbox Ally, because while I do think it's a slight bit fairer, it also is significantly more unfair when you start thinking about some of the sort of things that they did to achieve the price point that they did. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Xbox Ally, it is the handheld that Asus and Microsoft are working on together, introducing a new Windows handheld sort of gaming mode, more optimized for, of course, Windows-based handhelds, with a more ergonomic Xbox-style controller layout, and overall, just some of that special Xbox magic right on top of what is already an established formula with the Ally series of handhelds, that being the original Ally and Ally X. The original starting price point for that launch version of the RG Ally with the Z1 Non-Extreme and Z1 Extreme respectively, the cheaper model was $600, the more expensive one with the Z1 Extreme was about $700. At the time, that was incredibly compelling. Today, that is still incredibly compelling of a price point. Just take a look at the Legion Go S. That is a handheld with the high-tier performance best version using the Z1 Extreme, and that can go nearly as high as like $900. It's 2-year-old technology. It should be getting cheaper. The other device that they launched about a year later, the ROG Ally X, launched with a price point of about $900. Which at the time still wasn't great, but it was probably the most powerful version of the original Z1 Extreme chip that we ever seen. Because of the extra memory dedicated to the integrated graphics, it improved cooling solution, fixed a lot of mechanical issues that the original Ally had, i.e. the exploding micro SD cards. Technically they were like melting or something, but like it doesn't really matter. Either way, it improved upon a lot of the core parts of the experience that were lacking in the original versions of the ROG Ally. And eventually, a year later, we would get the announcement of the Xbox Ally X and the standard Xbox Ally, which was exciting. And we thought with the inclusion of Microsoft beginning this new partnership, it could mean that these handhelds could actually get substantially cheaper. But little did we know, it meant actually very little. And I'm actually very disappointed. These current prices aren't egregious like the Legion Go 2 was, but the Legion Go 2, I mentioned that I didn't really care for the upgrades it did provide, being OLED and a bunch of other just essentially refinements of the design. The Xbox Ally had all the justification in the world to be cheaper, but it being more expensive sucks a lot. That device only is good as long as it was cheap. If you spent an extra $100 or $200, you would start entering the realm of a Legion Go 2. You might as well just buy that. That is a substantive upgrade over something like your original ROG Ally or original Legion Go, or even a Steam Deck. The new Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X are just a refinement of the same ideas that we saw with the Ally X, except with the just massive haunches on the side, which probably are ergonomic, but makes the device look incredibly ugly, just a personal preference thing. But fundamentally, it is essentially the same handheld with just a new processor and a bigger battery by like a marginal difference. But at the end of the day, it doesn't wholly matter that much because these things will never have particularly inspiring battery life at the best of times. To me, the battery life will only be impressive if it's like in excess of 4 hours of intense full power gameplay. That's when I'll be impressed. At present, it's like, oh my god, you got 2 whole hours? Wow. The Switch can do that. Like, it doesn't matter. And the thing that probably irks me the most about the Xbox Ally, it uses the same exact screen that we've seen for the last 2 whole years. It's been the same screen since the original RG Ally. I get it. All these things boiled together into just becoming what I would assumed a cheaper handheld. Even if it wasn't as like crazy cheap as I was hoping it to be, even if it was like $700, $800, that would have been more ideal. But it being at $900 for the Ally X variant, it just kind of sucks that you're not getting that much more of an experience over your original Ally X if you purchased that for $900 a year ago now. To me, what is most disappointing is that the standard base model with the standard Z2A chipset, that version of the Xbox Ally is $100 more expensive than I ideally would like to see it. Even if it was like $550, sure, it would make sense for it to be a slightly bit of a premium, but at $600 and with a chipset speculated to be worse than the Z1 Extreme because of the battery and cost-saving measures that went into it, it's shockingly bad. People have been in my comments for months at this point talking about how they managed to pick up a Z1 Extreme Ally or an original Legion Go or one of these many other devices with a Z1-esque chipset for pennies on the dollar. Not that intense of a discount, but like they're getting it for like $300, $400. And assuming what we know about this more budget Z2A chipset is true, and the speculated estimated numbers for it are accurate, it's gonna be a worse experience than the Z1 Extreme. Whether that's by 5% or even maybe as high as 30% worse performance because of the core cutting, the power dropping, the TDP curving. Like, it doesn't matter. You're spending $600 for an experience that is just worse than something you can get for significantly cheaper. And it would be a similar experience at that. And with all the likelihood being put still up in the air of whether or not Microsoft will release this version of Windows to be locally installed on any other PC handheld that currently exists, which I strongly believe that they will eventually release it to the public, or just build it into Windows for like a toggleable mode. Currently, you can access the full screen Xbox gaming mode, but to my understanding, it lacks the background task management and just overall background task cuts that we would see from the version implemented inside the Xbox Ally devices directly, in comparison to just running this full screen Xbox app experience from the Xbox Insider program. So I think it's a little bit different in terms of implementation, but similar navigational ideas. But it just kind of sucks. For $600, you're getting potentially a significantly worse handheld. My biggest issue with the Legion Go S was that at $500, you're getting a significantly compromised experience when you could go buy handhelds at the same price that would be significantly better. So after giving Lenovo a ton of crap about that, I have to give Microsoft the same kind of crap, because it's just as egregious. Though in comparison, if you do compare the Xbox Ally to the Legion Go S, it does actually make out quite favorably. The Z2 Go chipset will probably be slower than the Z2A chipset found in the Xbox Ally, which is fine enough, but that's still not a good deal to me. They're both $600 for their base models. I still don't see that being a very good deal. It looks good in comparison to specifically that handheld, yes, but a Steam Deck, which it is rumored to be similar in terms of overall gaming performance to, it just kind of makes sense just to buy that instead. Yes, the Steam Deck is fundamentally a different kind of handheld, even amongst PC handhelds, but at the end of the day, I just don't see where they're getting these prices. I don't think either handheld is worth it. I've established multiple times that the Z2 Extreme chipset is only, at best, 15-20% faster than the Z1 Extreme in some cases. And those are just the most extreme scenarios. Most of the time, the margin is much slimmer, and sometimes they even can perform exactly the same depending on how well optimized the game is. The only benefit you're getting is the extra memory, which will only help you in certain situations, because you're mostly bound by the constraints of just the limited power of the integrated graphics. Not necessarily due to the limited amount of memory you have, but yes, in memory-intensive games, you should see performance increases, yes, but probably not nearly as much as you might be expecting. I would love to hear what you guys think, though. Are you disappointed in the pricing? Are you going to still pre-order it at $900 and $600 respectively? Do you think I'm completely trash for this hot take of mine? I would love to hear what you guys think about this down below. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All the other social media coverage down below, including now affiliate links to help support the channel and all I do. And last but not least, have a wonderful day.